Welcome, friends and family. Super excited to be here with you today at our Elevate studio. And I just want to remind everybody that Elevate is a faith-led coaching and mentorship program with an emphasis on leadership. We believe that God's given us a platform to build leaders. And that's really what the world needs now more than ever before. You know, when you look around, we see a lot of not great leadership. And so we really want to get back to the principles of what makes America great, what makes a nation great, is great leaders. And we're not necessarily taught that in school. And unfortunately, a lot of homes today don't have time to teach leadership. And some of the more is caught than taught. So today, I want to talk to you again. We're going to continue on a path of vision. And, you know, I was just thinking today how important a vision truly is for me and for you. I remember I think it was in 2022, Duke Davis and I were at a John Maxwell conference. I'd brought my family with me, and it was from Wednesday till Friday, and then there was a bonus on Saturday. Duke and I had enjoyed, man, we just soaked up. We sat at these round tables where we're around people from all over the world that came to these conferences in Orlando, Florida, hosted by the Maxwell, Team Maxwell. And we were fed incredible food, but just as importantly, more importantly, we were fed incredible nourishment for our souls and for our spirits. And it come at the end, and man, I was just getting this frustration in me. Duke was flying back, and there was just this kind of frustration in me, and I'm thinking, man, you know, I'm not achieving at the level I should achieve. It was kind of like almost I would say a holy dissatisfaction, just a little bit of frustration, and I'm processing it. And so I pray. I'm just like, God, what's going on? I feel this, this in my spirit. What's going on? And I felt like that was the day He gave me 700 to 1,000. 700 to 1,000 team members. And I thought, whoa, I think other people may have got a little nervous. Maybe they'd have felt their stomach swim a little bit. Not me. I got excited. I was like, wow, 700 to 1,000. That's huge. And I remember just kind of, went from that dissatisfaction feeling to all of a sudden excited and alive and vibrant. Like, man, I'm going somewhere. I got a vision now. Well, fast forward. Lindsay and I are in Arizona. It's probably about 2 years later, and we're visiting. We're with a group, a mastermind at this time called Game Changers with Howard Partridge in the Inner Circle. And we're flying out to Arizona to meet a gentleman named Tommy Mello. Tommy Mello's probably 40, 41 years old now. At that time, he was probably in his late 30s. And he oversees A1 garage doors. They are he has a goal to be the #1 garage door installer and repair guy in North America. And Tommy is well on his way to being there. That's his vision. And when he got up and he spoke that day and he began to share with us like where they started, him and his mom moved from Michigan. Nobody cared more about his business than his mother, and man, how they grew it to where it was at that time a $100 million plus company to now probably at this time near $1 billion. But as Tommy began to share, man, it excited me. And it stirred up what took place about 2 years ago. See, here's in between that 2 years, I'm not saying I forgot the vision, but if you looked around, guys, you'd say, what's he talking about? Where's 700 to 1,000? But on the flight back, and really once we landed, I remember on the drive back from Nashville Airport to where I live in Cookeville, I was stirred. And I said, Lindsay, I've got to share my vision with more people. Like, I've got to start communicating it. And she's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? And I'm like, well, when you look around, 700 to 1,000 just doesn't really look like much of a reality. We've been kind of fumbling around here at this 10 to 12 people for a long time. And we just kind of laughed. But then we refined it. And we're like, 700 to 1,000 well cared for, trained, and equipped team members. That's the vision. That's the direction we're heading. And when I began to share it, it was, sometimes it's the opposite of what you think, right? Like you think people might snicker, laugh, like he's what's he talking about? He's crazy. But thankfully, we hang around good people and a good culture that encourage me and encourage that vision. And now, and my wife's always had this mindset, way better than me, but now we set up systems and processes where when we're thinking about when we take in a listing, what's the steps that we walk through in that process? We don't think about it on a small scale of just one at a time. We think about it like Henry Ford did on the assembly line. How can we get this so that it can serve 700 to 1,000? And then also we began to realize, we might be doing more than just training sales agents. We may eventually have a title company, which we have now partnered with the title company. We got thinking one day, we may be a part of a mortgage company, which we have just about officially onboarded now with Mortgage Link, and Lindsay and I will be branch managers of Mortgage Link right here in Cookeville, Tennessee under the Elevate umbrella. So we, as far as like probably 60 days ago, less than 60, we had our first LO, Nathan Green. So 700 to 1,000, right? All we have to do, guys, is download the vision. It's like a GPS. Once you download where you're going, when you get in a plane, they download where that plane's taking off and where it's going and how to go there. They basically take their hands off the wheel once they're in the air because it's going there. And so we don't always have to know the how. Like, it helps to have some steps in between, but it ain't like you got to have that. See, I didn't know, like, how am I I have to grow a lot. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of Elijah that's going to have to die. I'm going to have to shed some stuff. I'm going to have to sacrifice some stuff. But when you have a vision, you know what to say yes to, and probably, folks, just as importantly, you know what to say no to. Hey, that ain't a good fit. If you have a vision for your marriage, and you want to take your vows seriously, till death do you part, then some things just aren't going to work for your marriage. Staying up all night, drinking, living like you did maybe when you're in your 20s, not picking up after yourself. Your mom might have did that. Your wife ain't going to do that, right? That's not what a happy, healthy marriage looks like. So you know what to say no to and what to say yes to. If you've got a vision for your health, to say no to that donut. You can say yes to it, and it might feel good temporarily, but for the long term, that's not going to be a right fit for your health if you've got health goals. My friend Duke Davis, he just set a goal in 30 days. He wants to shed a little weight and get some washboard abs, and he's on a journey to do that. So he'll say no to the donut, and he'll say yes to the gym. He's increased his gym time by, I think he said 5 days a week. So when you have a vision, when you have a destination, when you have a place where I'm here, but I want to be there, there's going to be a little frustration in between. There's going to be a little holy dissatisfaction. And you know what? We're going to be okay with that, because to get from where I'm at and to that journey of where I want to be, the man that can take care of his wife and family, the man that can be healthy to have his grandkids on his back doing push-ups when he's in his 70s, you know what? It's going to take some sacrifice to get there. But if we don't have a vision, if we don't know where we're going, then guess what? Everything goes. It doesn't even matter. You can just pull the arrow back and shoot anywhere because you're aiming at nothing. You'll hit that every time. And unfortunately, folks, when we look around, there's a lot of people that are doing that. There's a lot of people that have no real destination. They're not locked in. They're not going anywhere. They're like a vehicle that's just spinning their wheels, or somebody that's got stuck. And you know what happens when you get stuck? In a relationship, with health issues, in your career, in your family? Man, when you get stuck, you get depressed. You get bored. You get overwhelmed. You get sad. You get hopeless. And so that's what happens when you have no direction, when you have no vision. But when you have a purpose and a vision, and it's in alignment with your core values, that gives you passion. Now you have something to get up and go after every day. And so I think a vision is so important. I think there's so much value in vision. And my challenge to you this week is to really think about that. Pray about that. That's what I did. I prayed. I just said, God, what is it you want from me? And He gave me this big vision. And he challenged me to condense that time and to even see if we can make some things happen a little faster. Because I believe that's how God grows us. He sees where we're at, and he knows where he wants us to be, but there's some growth in between. Jim Rohn, he made $1 million. His mentor asked him, he said, "Hey, Jim, what would you like to accomplish?" He kind of fumbled around. He said, "Well, I'd like to be a millionaire." "Okay, great. And when can you, what's the time frame you think you can do that?" "I think I could do that in the next 2 years." "Okay." Jim set a goal for being a millionaire, and he achieved that goal. Probably achieved it in less than 2 years. And then the funny thing is he lost it. But Jim said, "You know what? It wasn't about the $1 million. It's about the person I had to become to earn $1 million." And of course, he got back where that place was again. But then in that process, he had to learn how to keep it, how to maintain it. So it's not always about the destination. It's about what we become in that process of going from where we're at to where we want to be. When I first started as a real estate agent, I didn't know what I could do and what I couldn't do. I hired a coach. He helped me set some goals, and he set a vision for me to be a top producer. Now, I was just a little bitty guy. I didn't have a bunch of sales skills. I didn't have great habits that it takes, championship habits. But in that process and with that kind of level of accountability, before long, I went from, selling 34, 35, helping people buy 34, 35 properties a year to regular now, 75 to 100. And can do that at a pretty high level because I'm in shape and condition to do it. But you got to get a vision to where you want to be. Without a vision, my people perish. I encourage you, get a vision, pray about it. And then once you have it, find somebody to run alongside you. Go after it. And the person you become from where you are to where you want to be can be amazing. Life can be an exciting journey. It doesn't have to be a depression grudge. It can be an exciting journey. So that's my encouragement to you. Hey, if this helps you in any way, please like and share. Thank you.